patients. As you know, I've introduced these four technologies: custom-made artificial eyes, then these scleral lenses, then orthokeratology. Orthokeratology still India has to pick up, but
Yes.
it's been there. Means people are aware of it now. Again, thanks to this mastercard class, Nilesh Thite and Yashwant Savji has put up a
Just one sec.
wonderful team together, and they did so far two events, and that has made a lot of awareness about myopia control
Yes,
in
sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
orthokeratology.
Basically, the last one.
Yes.
Last one made a huge awareness about this.
Yeah, thanks to Nitesh Barot, who brought all his US colleagues,
Yes.
Carrie Hesberg, Matthew, Rob, uh, you know, Vyshevsky, everybody was fantastic. And that has brought a new dimension in India. Unfortunately, now the situation because of COVID has limited us with personal interaction, but maybe next year um, they will do it again.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, and myopia control is must for every practitioner to learn and adopt it to their practice, because that's the future. Our children are the future of world, right? So you have to take care of
Yes.
myopia, management, especially yeah, especially if the if you can control myopia less than -5 diopters, you are doing a great service to the society, I would say. You have to first of all understand the importance and the grievance of the situation. uh, Everybody thinks that, oh, it again same like corona, it's not going to happen to me or my child, or oh, I'm okay, I can get my LASIK done and my number will go. Hey, but your eyeball is stretched, and you are going to get retinal issues after the age of 45. It's not immediate, but when you are in the peak of your life, married, children's, and everything good, and if you have sight threatening issues, you had it, then you can't go back and start try to fix. So this is the time to fix it. So maybe next time
Yes.
we can have a talk on myopia control, because
Yes, sir.
that's
Yes,
a
sir.
very dear
Definitely,
topic
we'll
to
have
me.
one because yeah. And the Jan that Janto sir conducted that was also good. You came, sir, for that purpose.
Hmm.
That Kolkata Optometry Conference.
Yes, yes.
That one.
I was there
Yeah,
last year.
that
Yeah.
was also quite good for market control. Yes, very nice. So I think we can start now, sir,
Sure.
because I can see almost 105 participants have already joined,
Okay.
and
Wonderful.
slowly they can join. Or shall I wait for because the
I think we
registration
should
almost
we should
200
continue.
near
If
about.
we should continue, I
Oh, okay.
yeah,
We'll
means
start then, sir.
yeah. If they
Oh,
want to come, they can come later. No worries. You have to
okay,
stick to the
okay,
time,
okay.
I guess.
So it starts then. Okay, okay. We start, sir, then.
Okay.
So, good evening, everyone, and definitely good morning for Chandrasekhar sir.
Hmm.
And myself, Dr. Shobnath Ghosh, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Allied Health Sciences, Venar University, Kolkata, India. I wholeheartedly welcome you all for the today's session on update on square lens, and thank you all for joining with us today. The awareness of the benefit of square lens has increased in recent years, but its use in vision sciences is still lagging. The webinar is on update on square lens to address this issue and spread awareness amongst optometrists and students. Today, our guest of speaker, Dr. Chandrasekhar Chauhan, is going to talk about the potential benefit of square lenses that has steadily increased over the past decade. It's an honor and privilege for me to introduce Dr. Chandrasekhar Chauhan. Dr. Chauhan has completed his PhD in physics from University of Mumbai and Diploma in Optometry from Municipal Eye Hospital, Mumbai. Afterwards, he worked as a professor in Bhavans College, Mumbai, and then he joined Mumbai Hospital for chief optometrist and contact lens specialist for 9 years. In 1996, he underwent training in ocular prosthesis at Moorhead Eye Hospital in London. In 1999, he developed world's first soft hydrogel ocular prosthesis that made him famous in American Society of Ocularists and got a job in the US. While in US, he completed his PhD in optometric sciences in 2001. He was the first fellow of Boston Foundation for Sight in 2003. Afterwards, he came back to India and trained person to be ocularist and set up laboratory for ocular services in various institutions like Shankar Netralaya Chennai, LV Prasad Eye Institute Hyderabad, Shankar Deva Netralaya Guwahati, Naya Netralaya Bangalore, and so on many as well as international like National University Singapore and University Hospital Thailand. In 2007, he set up Cornea and Oculoplasty Hospital called Sekhar Eye Research Private Limited in Mumbai, where many cornea and oculoplasty surgeons were offering their services to the needy patients along with custom-made ocular prostheses, square lenses. He was the director for clinical operation for Boston Foundation for Sight, USA for 2000, from 2004 to 2009. He also manufactures contact lenses at Flexilens Private Limited, who makes world-class lenses using CNC technology in India. Synthetic cornea, custom-made artificial eyes, orthokeratology, square lenses, and diamond-studded contact lenses as a patented technology called laser eye jewelry are his major contribution in the field of ophthalmology in India. He has conducted many CMEs to give training to the ophthalmologists and optometrists. Many articles were published in newspapers like Times of India, Deccan Herald, Lok Satya, Navkal, and so on. He is a reviewer for national and international ophthalmic journals. His hobbies including canvas painting, photography, singing, driving, and flying. The bio sketch is quite long. I had to make it short as we are bound by the time. Now I request Dr. Chauhan to share his expertise. So without further delay, I hand over the session to Dr. Chauhan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Somnath. It's been really wonderful to connect with all of you today on virtual platform. Today is the unique date. If you notice, it's 10/10/2020. So of course everybody was waiting for 2020, and the corona happened, and everybody was stuck at home. But now we have overcome the situation with the technology, and we are chatting kind of face to face. So thanks for the opportunity, and without further ado, I'll enter in the subject of updates on scleral lenses. So for the people who are new to this, students and any other general population who's watching, so scleral lens, as it sounds, it rests entirely on sclera and vaults over the cornea and limbus. It holds water or any solution over the cornea that basically neutralizes the corneal irregularities to give a better vision. It provides oxygen and nourishes the ocular surface tissues and heals any defects, if at all. The material is oxygen permeable. It's a highly oxygen permeable material that we use. It protects the cornea and heals the ocular surface. So basically it acts as a bandage lens. These are my gurus, because of whom whatever I am today, Dr. Maskati, Quresh Muscati, Dr. B.T. Muscati. I started learning my scleral lenses from Don Ezekiel from Australia with a fenestrated technology, and then I came to Boston and worked with Dr. Perry Rosenthal. So my thanks to all my mentors in life. Most of us see this kind of patients. They are sick eyes, keratoconus, corneal surgery is done, trauma, phthisis bulbi, and lot of issues. And when they come to us, they are expecting a lot of things from us. And if we upgrade ourselves, learn, and provide them the perfect solution for their condition, that will be the great thing for our profession. Why I'm saying this? Because just doing refraction and prescribing glasses is not what we are made for. It's the advanced technologies that we can treat our patients in hands with as a team with the ophthalmologist. So where they cannot do surgery, we can do non-surgical vision rehabilitations. As of now, these are the list of scleral lens manufacturers around the world. Of course, most of them are in the US, and you can approach anyone, and they have all the education resources you can get on their websites and learn. And there are a lot of companies who offer variety of different designs. There are a lot of groups, they conduct education, Global Specialty Lens Symposium, then Tom Arnold and Melissa conducts fantastic event every year in Miami. That is must for every serious scleral lens practitioners to learn, upgrade, and communicate with other fellows, and offer this technology to our patients. I like to mention this particular brand because I started with Boston Foundation for Sight, and today they have the fantastic technology that is available in India as well as in the US and around the globe. So the first thing that we see is application for keratoconus, because surprisingly the number of keratoconus in population is too much. Almost it's 1 in every 10 patients that we see keratoconus nowadays. Pellucid marginal corneal degeneration, it's a form of keratoconus, but the thinning of the cornea is not in the center but at the periphery. Many times penetrating keratoplasty is done for patients, and the cornea still remains irregular. And for keratoconus also the penetrating keratoplasty is done, which is outdated technology as far as I am concerned, because there are a lot of newer technologies like DALK and other modalities like Dr. Gulani is very famous for offering non-surgical or surgical treatments, but with a very safe life, because when you do corneal transplants, it's a time bomb in my sense, because it's a donated tissue and it has a limited life, and anytime it can become opaque or body can reject it, and that's a sight threatening situation. So instead of fully penetrating keratoplasty, there are a lot of other surgical treatments that are available. If you go online and watch Arun Gulani's YouTube videos, you will get into a lot of information, and there are a lot of other surgeons who are adopting to that technology. The Intacs became very famous and popular for keratoconus. Actually, it is FDA approved in the US for myopia, but it is off-label used for keratoconus to make the cornea more stretched and less of aberrations, so that a contact lens can be fit. But actually the cornea becomes worse with intact, because the cornea is now more irregular, too much of bumps, and it's very difficult and challenging for optometrists to fit a contact lens. So scleral lens is the only option for this kind of patients for visual rehabilitation. Of course, few years back, radial keratotomy became very famous for spectacle correction. These are the era before the LASIK, and people have done a lot of iris the surgeries, and patients are facing a lot of trouble and problems, because after few years the cornea becomes irregular and they can't see clearly. So again, the scleral lenses can help them see better. Of course, traumatic injuries after the surgeries, cornea is irregular and scleral lens is the only hope. Now I go one step ahead and advise putting spherical aberrations and chromatic aberrations onto the scleral lenses. I'm not going to go much into detail of this. I already given one lecture on this aberration control optics. If you can go online on YouTube channel and see those. But just to give a gist of it, when you use a camera, there are a lot of lenses. It's not only one lens, there are multiple lenses to tackle the chromatic aberrations. Similarly, in the eye there are cornea, lens, vitreous, aqueous. So there are different lenses with different refractive index to neutralize the chromatic aberrations. That is for the vision. Now coming back to sclera, when you are fitting a scleral lens on sclera, sclera is not spherical all the time. It may have a toricity in different meridians, and for that there are different kind of technology that you can adopt. But the idea is the scleral lens has to fit snugly with the sclera, and it should not compress 360 degree. That's the main idea. So you can start with any kind of trial set or fitting set that you have, and actually it's a trial and error method with this empirical fitting. And of course there are now newer technologies where you can take a scan or take an impression and make a lens. The lab will make a lens. You have to understand a basic concept of eccentricity or sphericity before you can consider applying that to the aberration control optics that is available on this kind of scleral lenses. I always aim for 20/20 vision, or 6/6 as we say. So for achieving that, you have to consider the nature of the lens and the base curve that you apply, oblate or prolate cornea. You can use eccentricities, because if you see a regular or normal eyes, if you are a topographer and see any patients that walks in, and so all these eyeballs have some kind of eccentricity, ranging from 0 to 1. So when you put a scleral lens with a single spherical curvature, it may not give you optimum vision. So that's why you have to consider sphericity or eccentricity on the cornea, because that scleral lens is going to become a artificial cornea for that particular patient. Then of course the visual axis has to match with the center of the scleral lens, the center of the optics of the lens. And then if there are any media opacities and other things, that has to be considered. If patient is undergone IOL or ICL, that also can affect vision. So most importantly, the central clearance also affects the vision if it is too much. Professor Muchard Langis has fantastic work done on this central thickness, and a lot of papers are there. So try to maintain about 250 to 300 micron of space and you're good to go. So this is a short video for newcomers how we fit scleral lenses. So whatever surface you are going to work on has to be cleaned with alcohol.
Handling lenses.
Not only surface, but I clean all the instruments, equipments, and everything that we use. Especially with COVID now, it is must. But we have been using this, sterilization since many years. So, because we see a lot of sick eyes, and we have to take into account that you should not pass any infection from one patient to the next patient.
Are you using
So
this
after
setting?
preparing the space, you select what trial set you are going to use. Examine the eye with slit lamp. Understand how much is the bulb or how much is the cone or whatever irregularities are there. Select an appropriate lens depending on your experience and judgment. If you don't know anything, you can start with the middle lens, and then you can make it less vault or more vault depending on what you see. So clean the lenses. Most popular solution is Boston Simplus to start with, then multi-purpose solutions, and at the end of everything, a normal saline. The normal saline that we use is preservative free. No water, no tap water, no tap water, no tap water. Never use any tap water for lenses because that can cause acanthamoeba infections and patient can lose their eyesight. So after filling up with the normal saline, you
Last patient 2, look down, chin in.
fluorescein in
To
the
the left
eye
side, focus at the finger.
and
Close please.
insert the lens. Ask
Please.
patient to look
Looking
down,
up.
chin in.
Please squeeze it up and down. Lens will not sit
And it's
properly.
absolutely comfortable because foggy. Now you can use a blue light and see whether the lens is vaulting over correctly on the cornea and the limbus. If it is touching, you can see a dark patch there, and you can change the vault accordingly. The lens, as it sounds, scleral lens, as I said, has to vault over the cornea and the limbus. It should not touch on the limbus because the stem cells there can affect in the long term because of the constant pressure. That was the. I'm going to show you a separate insertion and removal video for the patient. So again, we start with a lot of different trial sets. Different eyes you can work with different trial set. If the sclera is too irregular for any quadrant specific curvatures that labs are offering, then you have this impression technology where Christine Schind has introduced this technology where you can take an impression and you can send this impression to the lab. The famous company is iPrint Pro here in the US, and from this impression they can make a perfectly matching scleral lens for you. Thanks to Dr. Martin, who's a myopia control and orthokeratologist practicing in US, and he was kind enough to allow me to shoot his video. He did this impression for the first time on his wife, and without any anesthesia, no irritation, no pain, no nothing. It's absolutely comfortable, and within 1 minute the silicone sets and you can take this out without any issue. And this is the most accurate way of customizing a scleral lens for that particular eye. Of course, this is not for everyone, but for the irregular sclera. Of course, we are overcoming the irregularity of the cornea by vaulting over the cornea with our scleral lens, but you have to sit or fit the scleral lens on the sclera. So this is the best method that you have. So after this impression is taken for this kind of sick eyes, it is to be scanned. So this, of course, you don't have to do it. The company will do it. I do it at my place. I do impression technology because I'm an ocularist also, and I have been taking this impression since many years. Actually, I learned this impression technique from I learned this from Kane Pullam when I was in Moorfields Eye Hospital for my ocularistry training, and he used to take impressions for every patient, and that's where I learned to take the impressions. And this is how the
Universal 163 lens
inserted and removed by the patient.
can be filled up with the
So any scleral
unpreserved
lens,
normal saline.
unpreserved normal saline.
See to it that there is no air bubble
Sometimes we
in the
use
saline.
viscous medium like refreshed tears.
Fill till the top,
Solution. The latest solution in the market.
bend in, make your chin in,
like
and
Tamac,
look downwards, look into the lens,
which has some nutrients.
go straight in the eye, put the
We have
lens
to try
on the
different
sclera,
solutions for
press the plunger,
patients
the lens is on the eye.
complaining of fogging,
It's absolutely comfortable.
when they have thick eyes.
For removal,
Stevens-Johnson syndrome.
use the suction device,
Patients get it upon the
put it at
having
6 o'clock or
allergic
12 o'clock,
conditions. They fog up
stick it
their sclera
gently,
every now and
twist,
then.
take it
They
out,
have
lens will come
a
out.
little viscous medium. The fogging is
That's it.
time. So you saw this insertion and removal with suction plunger. That's a DMV removal, and the first one was insertion plunger. Now, a little advanced technique that I do is for the patients who has iris defects, where I do the iris painting on a scleral lens. As of now, I am the only one who has this technology. We used to do a piggyback kind of lenses, like a soft lens, prosthetic soft lens can be inserted from the back, and then you put a scleral lens. But the oxygen transmissibility is going to affect, and patient has to take care of two lenses. Then the soft lens can cause a more chance of infections. So now you can paint on a scleral lens itself. You can have a tinting of the normal eye, which is perfectly matching with our technology that we do. Patients with iris coloboma can benefit a lot if you start at an early age. Any design is possible on this. Most of the patients that we see, being an ocularist, I get this total corneal opacity patients, where we match the other eye with digital technology and scanning technology that I talked about, and we can rehabilitate these patients perfectly. Using the same technology, we can tint RGP contact lenses or scleral lenses for sports vision, for color blindness, or for corneal opacities. So this is one particular topic I would like to stress more, being an optometrist or even ocularist. Patients who are born with Peters anomaly can benefit with this kind of scleral lens with a clear pupil. As the child grows, they need to have clear vision, and remember, the scleral lens can neutralize the irregularity on the cornea and can allow this eye to see something. As you know, first 4 years are important for visual pathways to develop, and if you give this technology, scleral lenses, to these children, you are doing a fantastic job for them, because there is a chance of vision when they are grown up. So 100 dk or 120 dk material that we use now, of course there are 200 dk material available, but 100 to 120 dk material is sufficient for this kind of patients. The scleral lens with the same technology is used. It doesn't touch on the cornea. It is vaulted over by around 250 to 300 microns, so patient is absolutely comfortable, and we match the other iris on the scleral lenses. As I mentioned about scleral ring, and you can have any kind of designs. Sorry for the repeat slides. The prosthetic soft contact lens is already a choice, but since it's touch on the cornea, and patient complain of frequent infections and redness, you can take an impression and make a iris painted scleral lenses to rehabilitate the vision as well as cosmesis. Patients with albinism also can benefit with tinted or photochromatic scleral lenses, which is the latest thing that I've introduced. You can play around with this technology to treat your patients, and I of course use these hand painted soft contact lenses to match any special effect, and the film industry requires this kind of designs and techniques for special effects that they do. Of course VFX is one of the way, but more serious or more realistic production houses use my technique of hand painted scleral lenses, soft contact lenses for the effects. I'm not going to play this video till the end. It's available on my YouTube channel, and you can see the full video there. This was the lens that I made for Netflix film Ghost Stories that was published on 1st of January 2020. And a lot of actors and actresses come to change the color of the eye. This is the safest way to change the iris color than go with the iris implants, which is dangerous. I showed you one picture where one patient has to remove the iris implant. A lot of patients has to remove the iris implant. So you can use cosmetic hand painted soft contact lenses or scleral lenses to change your eye color, which is a safest way. Of course in Halloween also this can be used for drama films. You may be familiar with some of these actors and actresses from India, Krish 3, lot of characters I use these lenses for. Unfortunately Mr. Irfan Khan expired a few months back, but I still remember him, very kind person. In film Haider I have given him a special effect lens. Hrithik Roshan, Anupam Kher. I had opportunities to spend almost 3 to 6 months in India as well as in the US while fitting this custom made artificial eye for the film Zero. It was very nice experience. We did shooting in Huntsville and Orlando in a film where Nana Patekar showed as a double his brother, and where they had to show a different character, so we changed the color of these eyes. And of course a lot of television serials use my special effect lenses. This was a very famous film, Tumbad. Anushka Sharma in Pari, a lot of other people use my lenses. Allure magazine in the US is very famous magazine where my diamond and gold contact lenses were featured in their articles, and a lot of other national and international magazines and online YouTubes and other channels have featured my gold and diamond contact lenses. This was very viral video, which is
I'm
famous.
Dr. Chandrasekhar Chavan, and I make the world's most
Around the world
expensive
it
contact
was
lenses.
viral.
My wife was putting a diamond on the tooth, and I suddenly thought that why not put the diamond in the eyes, and that's how the journey started. We have 4 designs in soft gold contact lenses, and in diamonds of course it is customized as per the individual choice. We can even put some gemstones. give these lenses as a protective device for military, army, sportsmen. So same technique, it will, even if you press on the lens, it will not touch on the cornea. That's the technology. Diamond looks really, money can't buy everything, but that smile on the customer's face, satisfaction, is what we earn.
Okay, so saying so, I used the similar technology and developing that future ready technology, which is replacing the diamond and gold space with electronics that will have camera, display, power, Bluetooth capabilities, internet, and medical surveillance and recording. So watch out for this, and being an optometrist, you will have to take care of this future devices. We call it wearable devices. So get ready. Of course, as an ocularist, I do this enucleation and eviscerations and all this kind of patients who has lost their eye, and we give them a 3D custom-made ocular prosthesis, making their life back to normal. Of course, young individuals want to wear cosmetic lenses also, and with my technology they can wear these cosmetic contact lenses on a scleral lens as well. This is the latest thing that I introduced about a year back, where it's a sensitive cornea sclera as well as dilating pupil. If you notice the blood vessels here, now I'm indoors, so they have become lighter. Notice the blood vessels, they are lighter now, and as I go in the sunlight, as soon as it hits the bright light, it becomes red. Even it will change the color when you touch the sclera, just like a normal eye. So photochromatic scleral lens or soft contact lens is the latest in my armamentarium, where you can think and apply this technology for your patients with photosensitivity or photophobia. So as soon as they are exposed to UV light, the color will become dark, and once you come inside, it will become light again. So they are UV sensitive lenses that we customize for individual patients. So I offer training and certification in my Orlando office for how to take impressions and how to do hand painting on soft lenses, and of course we support lab support. If you have patients, we can help you with technology and lab. I have already some books on artificial eyes that is available. So in summary, scleral lenses acts as a bandage lens, heals ocular surface, it neutralizes irregularity on the cornea to give clear vision to the patients. Clear pupil scleral lenses with prescription can help patients with Peters anomaly. Total corneal opacity patients with sensitive cornea can be rehabilitated socially, psychologically and cosmetically by fitting a iris painted scleral lenses with black pupil on a RGP material. These are my references and these are my websites. If you want to get in touch with me, chandrachavan@gmail.com or lasereyejewelry@gmail.com. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, sir. It is really informative sessions, and there seems so many types of lenses. And now, definitely, we're open for questions. So, participants, if you have any questions, you can write in the chat box, or directly you can ask to Chandrasekhar sir. Before I get the question from them, I have two questions, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
So, how do we select the candidate for square lenses? So, like, let's say we have a keratoconus patient. So, every keratoconus patient, can we fit that contact lenses? Sorry, square lenses, or we have to?
I encourage you to fit scleral lenses to all keratoconus patients. As we started, when we can fit RGP lenses, why not fit RGP lenses? But you ask the patient, it's painful, it's already a diseased eye. The keratoconus is a progressive disease where the cornea is going to become conic, in next 10 years. And he comes to you as a specialist and you try to save some money and give him a RGP lens. Now, in my opinion, RGP lens is going to aggravate the situation because the lens is going to move up and down. In 1 minute, you blink 12 times, so it's going to give that rubbing effect on the cornea. And if you know, most of the keratoconus patients has a history of rubbing, and that rubbing has caused this cone to progress. And now you are putting a device in the eye on the cornea which is rubbing every now and then. So you are actually triggering the progression of the cornea, and patient is in hell because it's painful. So use the scleral lens as soon as you can. I know it's a little expensive device, but that will save further complications, and patient may not enter into too much irregularity on the cornea and the compromised vision. So I would say go for scleral lenses. If you continue with RGP lenses, patient can tolerate sometimes because they'll get used to it, but after 3 to 5 years, I have noticed that patient will have complaint of pain, photophobia. They will come to you, and you will see a rupture in the epithelium. You will say, okay, you stop these lenses for some times, and or you put them in piggyback, and after 5 days, 10 days, 7 days, 10 days, the cornea is healed up, and again you can put a RGP lens. But again, after 1 year, when he comes, there is a permanent opacity. Of course, it's nebular opacity. Again, after 2 years, the opacity will become darker, and usually the opacity is in the visual axis, and the patient can't see with anything, and then that's how the patient has to undergo corneal transplant. So you can save the patient from going into that direction and entering into corneal transplant and losing his vision for life. So best is to use scleral lens technology for keratoconus patients.
Okay, thank you, sir. So one more question is that person is asking, like, can square lenses used for glaucoma patient?
Yes, of course.
Can I use square lenses?
Sure, yeah. See, it is been observed that the moment you wear a scleral lens, about 5 milligram of mercury pressure increased is noticed in different kind of papers and studies. But it is not affecting the glaucoma. It is not causing any pressure on the nerve heads. This is just because there is a foreign body in the eye. It is disturbed, so the pressure is distributed. As of now, we have limited knowledge of how to measure the pressure on the cornea and on the sclera. So when you wear a scleral lens, you cannot measure the pressure on the cornea. So what technologies they have been using is indirect way, or on the sclera or on the lids. So but yes, there is definitely pressure increased, which is shown, but it is not affecting or adding to glaucoma. So it's absolutely safe to wear scleral lenses on a patients with glaucoma. I may be making a contradictory statement here, but this is my full knowledge, and this is what my belief is. I have done some studies and myself and tested it, and it's safe. because scleral lens patient wear it for whole life. We call it ocular prosthetic device. So that means you are dependent on this device for whole life, and it is safe to wear for patients with glaucoma also.
Okay, I hope you have got the answer. And next question, I'll move on to next question. See, that is, what will be the starting point for the scleral lenses?
If
Is there anything starting point for scleral lenses?
if you want to adapt a scleral lens into your practice, is that what it means? As I showed, there are a lot of companies. You can select any company, get that fitting set, and start fitting scleral lenses. It's absolutely amazing experience when patient says, wow, the vision is improved, the comfort is best, and that is the most satisfaction you can get. As far as the India is concerned, as I said, there are limited companies who offer scleral lenses, but best choice to start with is, I would say, go with LV Prasad, and they have this Boston site scleral lens manufacturing happening in Hyderabad. So there is not too much of a to and fro happening. You don't have to get the lenses from US, and they will be happy to help you with fitting set, and you can start your practice with them. And there are other local companies in India who can give you something called mini scleral lens. I really don't like that concept of mini scleral lens, because it sits on the cornea and goes on the sclera, and it is going to cause pressure and defects on the limbal stem cells on the long run. Instead of worrying about glaucoma on the long run, I would worry on a stem cell in the long run, and I'll vault over the limbus as well. So go with the true scleral lens, and help your patients. So it's available in India. Start with any fitting set, and as I said, you just have the trial set. Even if you don't know how much is the progression of the cornea, how much is the keratoconus increased, the best way to start is, out of this fitting set, select the middle lens, put it there, see on the slit lamp with the fluorescein, you can see, with the slit lamp you can see how much is the clearance. You can compare the thickness of the lens. Most of the time the thickness of the lens is 0.3 300 microns, and if you know the corneal thickness, anything between 500, keratoconus patient will have less. So you have that two reference points, 500 and 300, and how much is the clearance. At least 300 or 250 microns of clearance you have to keep. So if you feel of that middle lens, if you feel the clearance is more, you can select a little low vaulting or low sagging lens and put it back, and see. That way you can keep on changing the lenses and titrate your fit to get the clearance. Once you have the clearance, then you look at a 360-degree blanching and any clearances. You can see the blood vessel has to pass through nicely without any blanching or stopping. It should not have 360-degree compression, and there is a best way to learn is go on scleral lens society .org, sclerallens.org, which has a lot of videos, educational videos, and you can see I am a fellow of Scleral Lens Education Society. That's a proud thing to have, and your aim should be to become a fellow of Scleral Lens Education Society, because that's the way you will learn and understand. In India, only two fellows of Scleral Lens Society, myself and Raji. Unfortunately, Raji expired few months back from Shankar Netralaya, Rajeshwari, and I encourage all of you to pursue that path and become Scleral Lens Education Society's fellow. So you can understand and learn from different websites there. lot of companies has their own education websites, lot of education stuff is there, and attend conferences, attend meetings, and learn. There's always room to learn, you know. So you can start with the fitting set, and you know, you will reach there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I think we can learn also from this kind of now virtual
Sure,
platform
yeah,
also.
virtual
We
meetings.
are learning now. Yes, sir. we are learning. And sir, one more question is that very relevant to this previous one only. And sir, one of our is asking, will there be any damage on the conjunctival vessels if the patient uses the scleral lenses for longer time?
Well, it's a very interesting question. Not on the conjunctiva, but I have seen, like we do orthokeratology for the cornea, you know, to mold the cornea. When patient wears the scleral lens for the long time, if the fitting is not perfect, or you know, the pressure is not distributed correctly, or for whatever reason, if the I still don't know, but it do change the sclera over a period of time. So it is a molding of sclera that can happen over a period of time, especially if it is a you know, very high vault, because the high vault will give too much of pressure, and if your diameter is smaller, it will cause that, you know, indentation on the sclera. And yes, even after removing the scleral lens, you can see a scleral ring, so that can happen. So in that case, the idea is to go as large as possible, distribute that weight all over the eyeball, and that is the solution for, you know, coming over this kind of situation. But the answer to that question is yes, it can indent and mold the sclera over a long time, as it happens with RGP contact lenses. It molds the cornea. Same thing, this will cause
Yes.
molding of sclera. Very interesting question.
And also the RGP, what I observed during my study actually. So it's not only mold or the pressure, it also causes few microtrauma on the cornea, RGP. And that leads to release of cytokines in keratoconus and damage some
That's why I
scleral
explain so
keratocytes.
much in detail. Don't use RGP lenses for keratoconus patients. You're perfect. Yes. Yeah. Tell me more about
One more.
your experience on the RGP lens with keratoconus.
Yes, sir, I have done that. That due to my studies,
I know you
I
did
have done
PhD on
research.
that. Yeah.
I compared both RGP and scleral lenses, the corneal morphology changes. So what I observed over there, that the microstructural changes were lesser that scleral lenses comparatively RGP. Even the RGP, I use two types. One is a specially designed one, and which is feathery touch in the apex of the cornea. Another one that the conventional, or the three point touch, the conventional way we use the, sorry, three curvature lenses. So that way we have felt that time, even though the Vanderhoff was impressed with my study, was one of the good practitioner for scale lenses. So we were studying that the same thing actually, that scale might be better because it's not touching, it's vaulting over the cornea, and if they don't have to touch the cornea, may not have that microtrauma. They won't produce any kind of microtrauma.
Yeah.
So
It's protecting the cornea.
that way they're helping. Yes, that way they're helping to the prevent of releasing these cytokines. And cytokine is the one who's causing the apoptosis of this stromal
Corneal cells. Yeah.
keratocytes. So that's what I observed during my study. And it's recently published in April in Science Malaysiana. It's published my study.
Good. Good. Congratulations. Wonderful. See, it is important to fit scleral lenses for all keratoconus patients, because their whole life, you know, usually this happens at the age of, you know, young age, 20, 21, and you know, it will keep on increasing for next 10 years. uh, but of course there are ways and means to control it, but one of that is scleral lens, to give a better protection, and quality of vision will be maintained with that. Yeah. Any more questions?
Sir, so many questions are there, so I'll take little. I can see 16 more pending. And sir, iris globoma, iris painted square lenses can helpful to sorry for increase of the vision.
Of course, if there is a prescription, most of these children have prescription, so you can add that prescription on the lens, and the artificial iris that you are making of on the scleral lens will control the amount of light entering into the eye. So child will not be photophobic, and he can see details around environment, and the visual pathways will develop nicely, and when the child grows, he will have no issues. So,
And one more question is this was very interesting. Saying, sir, what is cornea ulcer and how we treat it? It's not relevant to this one, but
yeah,
maybe he's
corneal
asking a
ulcers is
different question.
relevant to this, I would say, because when a conventional antibiotic treatment doesn't help uh, to heal the corneal ulcers, we have treated many patients, epithelial defects and corneal ulcers, where in traditional way, because when you blink, the whatever epithelium is forming, it just wears off. So what we do is we put a scleral lens with antibiotic inside. Of course, it has to be preservative free, and within no time, within 48 hours, the cornea can heal, and we have documentary proof of that. Cornea, the ulcers has reduced in size dramatically, and it works fantastic. Yes, it is a modality to treat corneal ulcers, with the scleral lenses. Yes, so it can be used as a drug
One
delivery
more,
system. And as I said,
yes,
it
sir.
is a bandage
Yeah,
lens. So
yes.
in bandage, you have some antibiotic, right? So you put a normal saline, you put Vigamox or some antibiotic of your choice without preservative, and ask patient to wear it. And especially if you are treating for corneal ulcers, we allow the patients to wear these lenses 24 hours during the sleep also. Only thing is you closely monitor. You ask patient to come next day, take the lens out, clean it, put a fresh saline, put fresh antibiotic, put it back. So you monitor the patients every day, and the corneal ulcer can heal. It's amazing. Even for patients with SPKs, uh, you know, for whatever irradiation or any other reasons that a patient may have, in India they do welding on the streets, and if you look at that UV light, the welding light, you will get SPKs in the eyes. So if you put the scleral lens, within 5 hours the cornea will become normal. So it's amazing. It's a bandage, you know. So use it, and you need not have a
Yeah, one
perfect
more.
fitting for when applying to this kind of patients. You can have one standard vaulting lens, because most of these patients are having a non-ectatic cornea. So you can have one standard lens that you can use as a bandage lens for treating corneal ulcers. And it's not a disposable lens, so you can clean it and use it again for the new patient. Of course, for cleaning you have to use hydrogen peroxide or hypochloric acid solutions to keep it, sterile before every use.
Sir, one more question is there from my Professor Dr. Haliza bin Mutalin. Is asking, hi doc, thank you for the impressive talk. Can I get your opinion if square lens will be a more effective way to controlling myopia more effectively compared to ortho-K lenses?
Ortho-K is easy, simple, and there are a lot of companies with proven track records and success rate. So I would say go with those. But yes, scleral lens also can be used for myopia control, because it's absolutely comfortable. The famous optometrists that use scleral lens for myopia control is Dadi Fadel from Italy. She is in Europe. Fantastic work she's doing, and there are a lot of myopia control specialists around the world who are adopting this kind of technologies for sensitive patients. See, remember, most of the time we are using RGP lens modality corneal lenses for orthokeratology, and as it touches the cornea, it does give foreign body sensation. As I said, no for RGP for keratoconus patients because it moves, whereas ortho K RGP lens, it doesn't move much, because it is almost 96% of the HVID, so there is no movement, and it is initially, of course, few days patient do feel the awareness. It's not pain, but awareness is there, and the lens is to be worn in the night, so there is no much of a blinking happening. So corneal RGP is best for ortho K, but if you think patient is sensitive, patient is willing to spend little extra more money, and if you think you need a scleral lens for myopia control, yes, of course, that is possible. Feel free to email me and we can discuss and discuss more and take that thing forward. Yes, chandrachavan@gmail.com. Thank you, Professor.
Otherwise, I'll share with Prof.
Yes.
Your ideas and details. Thank you, Prof, for the questions. Thank you. And sir, one more question is there, but this is again also another side. It's not here, but it's about the bionic eye created to fix the vision of the blind people. So is it invention will more better than the contact lenses? But contact lenses is a different thing actually. But,
sir, bionic eye is for the people who have already lost the eyeball. Okay, so if there is no eyeball or it's a very gone case, how can a contact lens will fix it? So those are a different category of patients. This question comes to me every now and then because as I said, I'm an ocularist, so I see patients with one eye, and everybody thinks that there is a technology where they can see with that eye also. Now the problem with the bionic eye is it's artificial vision. One of our famous Dr. Rajat Sharma from India has been settled in California and has done fantastic work on bionic eyes, the retinal chips to be specific, and they have been implanting these retinal chips for patients who has lost vision due to retinal defects. And the problem is the patient has to be blind both eyes, and that's the only way they can see. Then only they are qualified for this kind of bionic eyes or retinal chips. And suppose if you have one eye normal and one eye enucleated or eviscerated or Theisic bulbi or whatever, if you put a bionic eye, the vision with this bionic eye will not match, because as you know, the brain sees, it superimposes both the images and then decides what is the best vision. If you have a good vision in one eye and if you have a bionic eye vision which is not almost anything close to 660 also, will of no use. Patient will select the good vision, but bionic eye is for the very very sick eyes and gone eyes. Patients who has corneal opacities can benefit with keratoprosthesis, that is plastic cornea, if their back surface is normal, that is posterior surface retina is normal, then they can benefit with keratoprosthesis, Boston keratoprosthesis, Pintucci keratoprosthesis. There is Chavan Muscati keratoprosthesis. Dr. Muscati and myself have come up with a plastic cornea for total corneal opacity patients. And remember, these are the patients who are really affected. It's the only chance that they have, so you can't just do any kind of surgery on these patients. So you have to think before doing anything. But yes, it can help. The bionic eye can help. And now there are a lot of other technologies available, like if you have heard of Orcam, it's a device that you wear it on the spectacle, and it's a virtual eye. It will keep on talking to you what it sees. It can read, it can describe what is going on around you. So if you have a low vision, that's the best thing to have. Orcam, they have two varieties. Of course, I have no financial interest in any. This is just education. So one variety reads any text. It's good for the students and all. It's a little less expensive. So you have a low vision and you still want to read. That's the best thing. If you have no vision, then the second Orcam is best, which describes everything around surroundings and places, and it's a fantastic device. So it's close to bionic eye. Of course, you can't see, but you can hear what's going on. It's already available.
Yes, sir. Out from here, and I have one question, sir. That is from my side actually. And are there any complication associated with that square lenses, like what we have for soft contact lenses?
Well, the one complication we already discussed, like it can mold a sclera, but it is not much of a complication, I would say, because it is not a sight-threatening complication. Now, the most important point to stress on the complication is never use lenses unsterile. What I mean is, before you insert the lens in, it has to be disinfected thoroughly with hydrogen peroxide or hypochloric acid or hypochlorite, because there is a chance of any bacteria, if there will, like when your eye is exposed, there are a lot of bacteria around floating in the air, or the hands or the plunger, suction, whatever you are using, and if that bacteria sits in, there is a chance it is there. And when you wear the lens, now imagine that's the best environment for bacteria to grow, right? Because it's the best temperature, good oxygen, and nothing to disturb, so bacteria will grow. And that's why we don't allow our patients to wear this kind of lenses overnight, because if there is a scratch or any cut on the epithelium, the infection can happen. And most sight-threatening infection that can happen is due to acanthamoeba. That's why I said, stressed more, no water to be used. Okay, you will use water to wash your hands, but after washing your hands, you clean your fingers and the area of hands that you are going to use for fitting scleral lenses with multipurpose solution, because that will have preservatives in it. And then everything is done, you wash your hand with a hand and lenses with a normal saline, unpreserved normal saline. Use plenty of it, so that when the lens goes in the eye, there is no bacteria which is entering in the eye, and no acanthamoeba. So that is the complication. If you use them unsterile with rough hands, it's a sight threatening. But so far I have not seen any patients, because when we dispense the lenses, we stress on this point and make sure that patient uses and follows the insertion, removal, and hygiene and care of these lenses, so that they don't land up with any complications.
Thank you, sir. One more question is that asking will heat affect the lens? I think it's
No.
yes. Will heat affect the lens?
No. Many people think that it will have, no. See, it is in touch with your eyeball, and it is at the same temperature as your eyeball. So does your eyeball gets affected when you are cooking or anything? Yeah, if there is too much of heat, it's a little, so the whole skin will, it's a reaction to the heat. You will close your eyes, you will go back, but it won't damage or affect your eye. No. As heat as well as cold, nothing happens. You can go in snow and enjoy.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. In fact,
Yeah, there's a myth actually.
I
So it's a myth.
advise this to be worn in sports. I have seen a lot of sports injuries. As an ocularist, I get patients and I ask them how you lose the eye. So they say, oh, shuttlecock hit me, or the tennis ball hit me, or the cricket ball hit me. So if you have this scleral lens on the eye, it will protect your cornea, it will protect the eye. It will hit on the lens, and in fact lens also will not break, because it makes eyeball more oval shape, and it just absorbs that trauma and goes back. So that's why we give these lenses to army, military and special task force, who are more exposed to explosions and dangers. We give these lenses to this paramilitary and other people who are at risk. Sportsmen are the best population that can be benefited with this scleral lens as a protective device, apart from vision correction. Sportsmen can be given with a little umber tint, so that the vision is improved, like contrast increases like anything, and they can see or perform much better.
Thank you, sir. Let me check more questions. So,
is there any way we can see
one
night as a cats and dogs?
Okay. I think I had to change that.
Well, that's my future technology, which is I showed you, where it will have an infrared capacity, and if you wear this, you can see in the night. But as of now, what we have is a special gadget that I have developed with another scientist from Bangalore. He's Charles Jones, and with his he has a virtual AR spectacles that looks like a general spectacle, and it has the camera and everything, and it combines with my scleral lens, and you can see what is on the screen, but nobody can see what you are wearing, because rest of this virtual AR gadgets available in the market as of today, the Mojo Vision or Holo Vision or Google and other stuff, the normal people can see or make out that you are wearing something artificial. So they are not comfortable, they are not they're threatened that their privacy is gone, so they will not be comfortable when you are wearing this kind of devices. Whereas the spectacle and my scleral lens combination that I am talking about, it's absolutely nobody knows that you are wearing something special. So it's just like any spectacle, and you can see in the day, in the night, you can watch movies, you can see the text messages on your iPhones. There are a lot of, we are still improving it, like if you have seen this the Iron Man. Okay, so a lot of capacities that we can add. So looking at you, I know your height, body weight, your information, and a lot of stuff that is possible. Right now we don't have that included in that, because we have kept that for military applications, but general application right now it is available. You can email it to me and I can share from where to have this device, and you can see in the night like cats and dogs if you want to.
Maybe the future technology will come in the near future. So thank you, sir. And I think with this we can end this session, sir, or no more.
Thank you.
From there. So yeah, definitely we just end this session with this, and definitely it's a good learning session for us, sir. Thank you so much for this, and I'm sure that we have learned about the scleral lenses and its clinical aspect, and we have seen so many types of contact lenses. Some of them patented by sir, so got patent for that. And once again, I'd like to thank you, sir, for this spending time, your valuable time with us, and sharing your expertise with us.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Before we close, I would like to stress one point, that Dadi Fadel has written a fantastic book on scleral lenses, I would say that is the best lens so far, best book so far. If you are serious about learning and understanding, do buy this book from Dadi Fadel. It is available on Amazon also. It's a fantastic book on scleral lenses, and I recommend that. So, thank you, Somnath, again for having me on your virtual meeting, and it's really a pleasure talking with all of you people. And feel free to write to me, like my Facebook page, so that there are a lot of updates happening on my Facebook and Instagram. Lazerai Jewelry is my Instagram page, or Chandra Chavan and Chandrasekhar Chavan Facebook page. Do like me, keep me in touch. If you have any doubts, questions, if you have any particular case that you want to discuss, feel free to write me on email, chandrachavan@gmail.com or lazerajewelry@gmail.com. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much. It was indeed a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, and do take care of yourself and your parents and surroundings. Take care. Namaste.
Thank you.